The order of the court is that bond is denied. The basis of the bond is the risk of flight primarily. Life without plus 27 years is a significant sentence. I understand there are at least 2 ongoing investigations of this defendant, including potential hate crime charges from the federal government and some additional investigation by the GBI.
All right, there's the judge talking about the release or non-release of Roddie Bryan, William Roddie Bryan. He's one of the 3 defendants in the case involving the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. You remember that case from down in Brunswick, Georgia. He's jogging through the neighborhood, followed by some trucks and a father and son in the front truck. Well, Roddie Bryan's not in the front trunk. He's in the back truck. And now his attorney has filed a new motion trying to get him released on bond. Let me read it to you, and let me know if it resonates with you at all. He writes, "It is manifestly unjust and undermines public confidence in the judicial process that the alleged killers of George Floyd, Rayshard Brooks, and Breonna Taylor have all been granted bond." Well, no one's been charged with the death of Breonna Taylor, so he might be off on that a little bit. But while Roddie Bryan, armed only with a cell phone and located more than 50 feet away from Mr. Arbery at the time of the shooting, languishes in the Glynn County Detention Center. So you can see there's a little bit of a level of frustration here, apparently, with his attorney, with all these other cases, people being released, police officers, yet his client, who just had a cell phone, not a gun, is still locked up. Ted Rollins has more for us tonight.
In the first few seconds of the Ahmaud Arbery shooting video, it's clear that Roddie Bryan, the person recording, is also driving. 5 seconds in, we see Ahmaud for the first time. He appears to be running at a consistent pace. At 9 seconds, we get the first look at the truck stopped in the road. The driver's side door is open. The man standing outside is Travis McMichael. He is armed with a shotgun. Standing in the back of the truck is Travis's father, Greg. He's armed with a handgun. 2 things to notice here as the camera starts to move erratically. Watch Ahmaud as he appears to realize what's in front of him. He decides to go around the truck on the right-hand side to avoid Travis. Now, watch it again and think about Roddie Bryan, who is shooting the video. He keeps driving towards the evolving situation, and then listen. That sound raises the question, is Bryan cocking a handgun from inside the car? Bryan maintains he was unarmed. As we break down the next sequence frame by frame, we see Ahmaud on the passenger side of the McMichael's pickup. In the next frame, we can only see Greg McMichael, who appears to be holding a phone in his ear with his left hand. We know his right hand is holding a pistol. Now we see that Travis McMichael has moved from the driver's side to the front of the truck with his shotgun, presumably to confront Ahmaud. His right leg shows his knees are bent, his head is looking forward. In the next frame, we see Travis has now stepped back, and this is when we hear the first gunshot. The next frame clearly shows that Travis is being pushed back and Ahmaud has his hands on the rifle. Watch as Ahmaud releases his hands and hits Travis, first with his left hand, then with his right, as the struggle moves out of frame. Greg, meanwhile, now in the back of the pickup, puts his phone down and appears to ready his pistol. Then another shot. And we see smoke coming from the struggle. At 27 seconds into the video, Travis and Ahmaud can be seen again struggling over the rifle. Watch right here. Ahmaud pulls his right hand off to try to hit Travis. This gives way to the final shot. The final frame of the 36-second video shows father and son each holding a firearm standing in the street with Ahmaud Arbery laying on the ground, dying.
All right, joining me now is Court TV anchor Ted Rollins. Ted's been down to Brunswick, has walked the streets, knows more about this case than anyone here. Ted, what are the chances here that Roddie Bryan is going to get out on bond?
I would have to think fairly slim because nothing really has changed except for another request for bond, right? I mean, he's still technically under investigation by the FBI for hate crime and also by the GBI for potential sex crime, some sort of sex crime, which we don't know the details of. So I don't get what really has changed other than he's mad and he doesn't like being in jail. But from the judge's standpoint, what really has changed?
Yeah, and his attorney's looking around the country at all these other cases and seeing what's happening, and then sees his guy.
That never works, right? By the
No,
way,
it's not gonna
local
work.
judge, like, please, don't tell me about the other people.
Yeah. Plus, it's a whole different jurisdiction, different charges, different statutes, everything. The motion included a letter that Bryan's daughter wrote to him. What can you tell us about that? Because to me, that is fascinating.
Yeah, credit to Roddie Bryan's attorney. He's very aggressive. And in his motion, he put in this letter. It was a handwritten letter from Roddie Bryan's daughter. And, we're not naming her, obviously. And she basically is giving dad an update saying, I moved in with a friend. I have a job as a waitress, planning to start nursing school. And I love you. I love you, Dad, and I miss you. You're going to get through this. Just be strong. So, trying to the judge say, hey, this is a father who has people that really love him. He needs to be out on bail.
But there's another angle to the daughter as well. And she also wrote a letter to the DA.
Yes, and this gives us maybe some clues into possibly this other investigation. This is the letter to the district attorney, Jackie Johnson, and in the letter, she's saying, I am his daughter, he's my father, and she's asking that the sex crime investigation on my dad that I never asked for be closed, asking that this investigation be closed and going directly to the district attorney. This letter also part of this motion for reduced bail. And it goes on at the ends with, I want to live a normal life again, and I want to see my dad. So that maybe gives us some clues that she somehow is part of this investigation, or at least is knowledgeable of it on some level. That's why I would assume Roddie Bryan's attorney threw this into the bail motion.
Yeah, because obviously they know more than has been made public at this point involving all that. But what do we know about these sex crime allegations against Roddie Bryan?
Oh, only references, right, to them, and there were a couple of them. One was in the record, and it basically was a GBI declaration, and this was an actual tweet, actually, announcing it, saying that on Wednesday, July 15th, 2020, the Glynn County Police Department requested that the GBI, that's the Georgia Bureau Investigation, initiate a sex crimes investigation based on allegations made against William Roddie Bryan Jr. The investigation is active, ongoing. So that's the first clue that something happened. The GBI then sort of amended the tweet and said, actually, after further discussions, we figured out that it was actually the Camden County Sheriff's Office. They have jurisdiction in this case, and they're the ones that requested this investigation. So that gives us a little bit of it. And then it was also mentioned in a pretrial hearing. Take a listen.
I can confirm as of yesterday that the GBI has opened an additional parallel investigation into sex crimes that's stemmed from this. So that confirmation came by email yesterday. I say that to say that this now also heightens the risk of flight as well.
That's prosecutor Jesse Evans, and he's basically using that. He used that at the bail hearing, saying, here's another reason, Your Honor, not to let this individual have any options for bail. And the judge at that point agreed with it. The question is now, with this new motion, will there be a change of heart? As we talked about earlier, I don't think so, but you never know.
It'll be interesting because if the daughter is involved in the subject of all this, she is speaking directly to the DA about it all. Wow. All right. Kevin Goff also made his own request to the DA, right?
Yeah. He basically said, all right, DA, you need to recuse yourself. And he did it formally in a letter saying, I am asking on behalf of Mr. Bryan that you either officially close the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Bryan and formally clear him, or that you formally withdraw from the matter. As Mr. Bryan and the video attributed to him are the main witness and evidence against your former investigator, Gregory McMichael, there is legitimate concern as to whether the so-called sex crime investigation may be a part of a larger effort to discredit Mr. Bryan. You can always ask for people to, recuse themselves, and he's doing that. But I think the odds on that one are extremely long.
Yeah, this is, this is a very unpredictable case. In the beginning with Roddie Bryan, we weren't quite sure what his role was. And the one question that still hasn't been answered is, do we know why he was recording this stuff? Has that been answered? Has that been revealed anywhere? Why he made the video that really, instigated the public outcry in this case?
Yeah, why he recorded it, why it was released. And in fact, well, actually, we know that it was initially released by his lawyer in an effort to clear him because he was under investigation because he was there. And the idea was that my client recorded this video because he wanted to show everybody that this was a self-defense scenario, and that's it. And so there should be no charges in this case. That, of course, the whole thing backfired with that mentality. Why was he recording in the first place? Who knows? Maybe it's because in this society, people see something happening, and what do? They whip out their cell phones. Instead of either intervening, calling 911, they want to record it. Maybe that was just his motivation, and there's nothing more to it. We just don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think that's a huge fact, because I don't know the reason. And I've asked Kevin Goff on the air, doesn't answer it, but I didn't know if anything came out in any of the subsequent papers. But we shall see. Ted Rollins, awesome job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.